Welcome and thank you for joining us for Lineage and Legacy Live, an inspiring exposition and narration featuring members of Hillside International Truth Center as they share their personal journeys through ancestry with Good Genes Genealogy Services. I'm Dr. Ann Wead Kimbrough, or simply Dr. Ann, co-founder of Good Genes Genealogy Services. And yes, I may look a little different to some of you today. Please pardon my appearance. The doctor is still working on a few of my enhancements and upgrades. Over the past year, through our monthly Sankofa Genealogy Workshops, we've uncovered powerful stories, long-lost family connections, and pieces of history that were hidden in plain sight. We want to take a moment to thank every participant for your dedication, curiosity, and persistence in reconnecting the threads of your lineage. In this special presentation, we invite you to experience the discoveries, the breakthroughs, and the moments of joy that come when we rediscover who we are and where we come from. So without further ado, we proudly present Lineage and Legacy Live.
I want to share with you my initial journey into my family's genealogy. A couple of years ago, I invited Dr. Ann Kimbrough to join me in tracing my ancestry, and could only go as far back as my great-grandfather and great-grandmother at the time on my mother's side. And through her services and that of her assistant cousin Mark, I learned a lot about my family that I didn't know, and come to find out my great-grandfather was a lieutenant in the armed forces, the Army, and no one in my family knew that. And so what it has done is it's brought such enlightenment to the family and a sense of pride and joy and knowing who we are. And for many instances in our culture, we can only go back so far in our history. But their services and that of Dr. Ann and what they were able to share has been such a blessing to me and my family. So I want to encourage you to embark upon this journey. Get ready for an exciting time. Thank you so much for joining our community of legacy enthusiasts and story seekers. Let's begin.
So the goal is for you to just touch and know, because when you touch and know, you will know more about you. So during our naming ceremony, there was a gentleman, older gentleman, that he just had like on half, like I thought he was Jesus, he had on half robe or something, like we were outside drinking. But I was talking to him, I don't know what he was talking about, but I was talking to him. But I could feel that there was a connection. Yeah. And we do have connections with our people. They are not, they may come from the continent, but they come through and come by, they come down to the Caribbean. All of her people are everywhere, by the way, in the Caribbean. So you don't have nothing on them, but you do have 9. The people got 9, she got 11.
Description.
So,
but his father name was Joe. And my father's name is Irvin. And the family resemblance is so strong. And guess what? They were both born in Suriname. Paramaribo, Suriname. So I could just assume that they're brothers, because my father had like 11 brothers, but we never knew them. You know? Yeah.
It's kind of, you can't get around them being born in the same spot, like that, at the same time. Yeah. And so when I said go, because there was just such a burning desire to find out more, and I said, well, go. Yeah. And she actually went. That's amazing. I wish I had known. I would have gone. But I was glad to hear the story. We think about it. Every person has a family, and they spread out.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So our goal is for you to find the person. So what I did, my very first writing in genealogy, was I wrote a story, because Rhonda said in Little Rock, write a story about one person who you couldn't find who fascinated you. And it was my grandfather's father. Mm-hmm. And it was a miracle that I found him, because during the 1919 riots that occurred, because the same people, the English came and fought with the Moors, and the Moors aren't here. And by the way, like I said, we're all connected. We have a person here who's connected to the Moors, and he actually has a Moors passport. Mm-hmm. A genuine Moors passport. So we have people that can trace it back and can get all the way back there. When I got to Took Barnes, when I got to that person, I said, that name is so black. Let me just check and see what's going on. And when I got to Took, When I got to Took, I found out she was married to a person who was enslaved, who has the name of John Moore or something. And it says he's a free man, so I think his name is John, let's find out. So what happens is, my real goal was to get as high as I wanted to go while looking at some of these folks. See here, this gentleman right here. Now tell me about Lumbee. What does Lumbee mean to you?
Lumbee means that what I've got was in North Carolina, that's where the Lumbee tribe were located.
So stop right there for 1 second. That's why I said I have to have those two ways with you. Because when I saw Lumbee for a long time, and I'm like, look at these people, they're just country. I talked to this brother, and I remembered when he said Lumbee and Lumberton and all. I said, this is, even though it shows it here that they're all related, I still got confirmation because he could be somebody else. But because I went to his profile, which I'm going to do now, I began to confirm they have mother, father. We also have the House of Windsor.
Yes.
I didn't even do that for him this time. I just did
Yes,
the Dutch. We didn't talk about
We
it.
actually have a family crest.
They have a family crest from Windsor.
Yes.
I didn't even do that. But you have it, and you have it, and you have it, and you have it. All of us, when you get to the crest, remember, you get to a crest, or if you see a name or a image, and it's us, stop. And then start going wide. That's my recommendation.
The stories I've heard about my daddy and my mama, I said I need to get that clear. They say daddy changed his name to Sam Wilson because it was Isaiah Hezekiah, and he and some white man got into a fight. He killed a white man, and he had to change his name because he was in the Conservation Corps. I said, okay. And he says he's from New York. But when I looked, it looked like he was from Heflin, Alabama. So I said, okay, somebody's not telling the truth. Somebody's definitely not telling the truth.
So you've done some of your first steps.
Oh yeah, when they told me that, I said, let me look into this, because I didn't know. And then they're gonna tell me, when I say they, I'm talking about my niece, he showed me a picture of his mom and daddy. And daddy was black, and mama was white, and they were in St. Elizabeth. I said, St. Elizabeth, that's Jamaica. Yes. I said, so what happened? Let me see the picture. I don't know where I put it. I said, okay. And then mama, they say she was given away on the plantation to the lady that we thought, or that we called grandmama. And then found out later, her mama was down the street around the corner from where we lived in Augusta. And for the longest time, I didn't know who that lady was until the lady we called grandmama said, that's her mama. She gave sister away when we were on the plantation because she was busy living and she didn't have time for no baby. I said, but wait a minute. Wait, hold up. Slow down. You all, yeah, we were in the cabin and Honey had to leave. And she didn't have time to take care of no baby. So I told her, I'd take her. I said, okay. So I left that alone. I said, that's kind of deep.
But with us, we have to get more than that so that we can help you get to your goal. Your goal is to get to your people, to touch your people.
Every morning I get up real early and go swim. So anyway, one day I was coming out the pool, going to my room. The sister who worked the hotel staff said, you sister. I'm like, you talk to me? Mm-hmm. She says, yes, you. Come. I said, what's up? She says, you looking like me. Mm-hmm. This sister been watching me for days. Mm-hmm. And I looked for the first time, like, oh my God, you look like me. And I'm looking around like somebody set me up kind of thing. It was that kind of resemblance. She told me, come. She had me, now I have a towel wrapped around me. She'd had me come around, took me back into the office. She had been telling everybody, my sister's here, my sister's here. This sister had a big family. She had about 5 sisters like I do. So we made a date. For me to go home with her. So when we left the hotel that day, her husband put us in the cab. He was a Watusi. He had to be at least 7 feet.
Whoa.
So he put us.
She says that about all of us who are tall, Jerome.
I'm tall too, honey.
You are tall, but you know.
So anyway, we walk. And this is interesting because I'm one of 7 daughters. I've held hands with my mom walking down the street and my sisters walking down the street. And here it is the 80s, and now I'm walking down the street in Senegal with the sister, and she grabs my hand to hold my hand.
Same way.
Wait a minute. But I had the nerve to be uncomfortable because the stigmas that have been put on, okay? So we walked to this compound, and Senegal's Muslim, so all these men are sitting outside the compound, and she says, Papa, look. So she tells her dad, look, and we're standing shoulder to shoulder. She's taller than me. We're standing shoulder to shoulder, and he looks at me, and he says to his friends, look, 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 look. And so they're looking at me. He says, Mama, go, 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 go. He wants her to take me inside so Mama could see me. So we go inside, and her mom was in one of the areas where one of her sisters had a mom on a milk crate braiding her hair. Mom pulled a crate over and slapped it, sit, so she can look at me. And she's like, was amazing. The mom's complexion was like you, like my mom. Her father is chocolate like my father. And she had about 6 sisters. I got 7. When I came home and I said, Mom, look, I met my twin. My mother said, oh my goodness, take this to your father. He's been around.
What time was he around?
Daddy was on the couch. I took it over to Daddy. Daddy, look, I met my twin. Wow. Mommy said to bring it to you because you've been around. And he looked and he says, oh my. I said, okay, but go on. Just go on. Because I said that little thing that repeated what Mommy said. But I tell you, it was just amazing. And when you talk about we looking at ourselves, and we kept in touch for years.
You know how that goes.
You know how it goes.
That phrase, third world, what does it mean?
It's a code word, colonizer word for poor, depraved, jungle ridden, running around without any culture.
So, okay, so it was spot on jungle, Africa?
It was based on jungle, Africa.
So how have we spread that third world definition to other places?
We say it, and we do it, and we write it, and we be it.
Okay, I'm sorry. The reason why I asked is I just couldn't relate to that third world. What is a third world?
Because you know from your ancestry, you all didn't believe in it, and you weren't it.
Okay.
And we repeat it, so we're going to not
That's a
repeat
colonial
things.
phrase.
It definitely is. Definitely a colonial phrase.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But did you ever figure out the lady that walked away from her family, what happened from the rest of that?
Not exactly.
Sunday morning, she just said deuces.
She said deuces and left the 3 kids, and we don't know if they were married or not. Don't know, but left the 3 kids. But I think I did tell you through ancestry, did find my mom's first cousin.
And did they get together finally?
Yeah, they talk on the phone
So
a couple
now
times
they're
a
putting
week.
their story together.
Yeah.
So you have
And
to get it from them.
Correct. So, but there was, when they were kids, there was a lady in the house that said that was the sister. My cousin, they said, they ain't even no sister, that was the mama that disappeared.
Oh, she later showed up, but she went low key on the sister. That's a good thing.
Yeah, so yeah, on the census, it was like, he says he was a
Why would she leave the 3 kids and the man?
Well, my mom's theory is that, she's like, Grandpapa could have been mean, might have been mean to them. He was like, might have been abusive to them. And she was like, well.
She was like, that's last Saturday night, you
That's
get our party.
last time you,
It's like watch Sinners and you'll know.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm going back to my
So work on that,
Yeah.
since now, so Kenneth was able to get the cousins together.
I'm my own procrastinator, and that was my number one wish and letter to myself and everything for this year, is not putting it off any longer. I'm turning a new decade. It's time to answer some of the questions I've always had, and it just means that, taking the time to do it. And investigating and in knowing you, because you're walking information, and I just love it because you share and let us know, go to this site, go to that site, do these things. You just have to actually follow. One thing I'm very curious about, my father, the only ones I knew were his brothers. He did have a sister. I'd heard her name. I knew I had an Aunt Miriam, but no one talked about her much because she died at a very young age. But she was a teacher. And I've spent my career teaching. So I wanted to know more about her and what happened with her, and what she died of. And, you know, no one talked about anything. So these are the kinds of things that I just know I only stand in my own way by saying I don't have time. I do have time, and I want to make that time for those things that are important, because we need to know where we came from. I did not realize, I knew Dad's fathers came from Culpeper, Virginia. I didn't know that my father graduated from Leroy High School. And when you brought me that picture, to see Dad again was one of the most wonderful moments, just to see his name and to see that face, because it's been so many years.
And his accomplishments.
And everything that he had done. But he was a man ahead of his time anyway. I knew that. But it was just that I knew Dad for such a short length of time, and I was just 17 when it all ended. So it was wonderful to have that moment of seeing Dad again. To you, when you gave me the newspaper article, my mom.
And what year was that? Do you recall?
1940. Yes, 1940. My mom was raised in Angelica, New York. Angelica, New York is another one of those little bedroom communities near Watkins Glen, New York, which no one has ever heard of, including myself. But to see in their newspaper in 1940, my mother's wedding, getting that kind of acclaim, what she wore, what the flowers were, that was just fantastic. And I was so excited when I got it.
Tell me about John Giddings.
Now he is like the great grandfather of this person, Sarah, with the 5 children that were freed by the master, I assume John Giddings.
She's still mad about them.
But this is a black John Giddings,
right.
And it has a picture of his grave. And it seemed like the Giddings started in Massachusetts, and some of them migrated to Virginia. That's where the emancipation took place. But this guy was a slave. And this is back in 1700.
Right.
And he died in 1785 in Massachusetts, United States. That's
right.
his county.
So just know that our stories are rich stories, and we're doing this primarily to honor our ancestors and honor ourselves. So this deed, and they're so proud of it, and they write so beautifully. This deed says, "I do hereby warrant and defend the freedom of the said Negroes against myself, my heirs, executors and administrators under the penal sum of £100 current money of Virginia to be received by each of the said Negroes in case of any attempt to deprive them of liberty as by me above granted." So here's what he did. He was locking in the will. He was locking in a legal battle that was going to occur.
That's right.
Because when he died, and it happened in our family, on my mom's side, on the Owen side, they did the most in Tennessee. I'm thinking we're still connected to Bishop Jack, because that's where the radicals were. But what they did was, they said right here, if you have a will, all of you people that look like me, you Puritans, you cannot lock my people out. Because when they put it in writing, and they got it sworn and legal, they did their wills and they did their writing. So your family, members who were free, actually received money and maybe land. Because in any case to deprive them of their liberty, because what happened is you shut down the entire will. The entire, legally, you met, right? If you go in and you come in to change a will and it's been legally agreed upon, it's been legally found to be the will, that's what happened with the young sister that was believed to be the richest woman in Georgia, when her father did that same in Augusta, well, outside of, really in Edenton and down the street. And what she did was she challenged if you challenge his will and she can't get the money, you challenge the whole state of Georgia's will. That's how she was able to hire all of these white lawyers, etc. Some of them were senators in the state house, in the Senate House, and they argued that case, and she became the person, the heir to her father's will, which she already was. His children, his brother's children, his brother and his children challenged the fact that a former slave, of which she never was, but her mother was a slave, and her mother was also brought into court, and her mother ran the estate. Her mother was a CFO par excellence, and they asked the mother, "Did you fire white men?" And she said, "Sure did, if they were lazy." And so that just disrupted the whole courtroom.
In February of 2021, our church gave a genealogy sessions called The Bible Tells Us So. And quite honestly, I really didn't have any interest in looking at the genealogy information, but mainly because I knew I was an adopted child since I was 7. I had no interest in finding out my biological family at the time, and I wasn't sure I really wanted to dig into genealogy for my adopted family because I didn't really know that much about their history. But my spouse was doing it, and I assisted her in her Zoom and getting it set up and got enthralled listening to Dr. Wead Kimbrough and Mark S. Owen talking about genealogy and talking about the history. And that sparked an interest in my heart. In, I believe it was May of, because it was for Mother's Day, May of 2023, I did the Ancestry DNA kit and sent the information in. And in July of 2023, I got my results back with hits for family and cousins and a whole slew of people I had never heard of because I had no information whatsoever about my family. And I called the first person that was a second cousin. It was a woman because the first cousins were males. And I felt a little odd or a little something or some kind of way about introducing myself to people I didn't know as a child that they may not have any idea about. But I took a deep breath and I called her, and she was very friendly. She was very cooperative, but she had no information to give me. She had no knowledge. She had no record. She had no idea. And in fact, she was looking for information as well. That's why she was on Ancestry. So again, I took the advice of Dr. Wead Kimbrough and said, contact that first cousin because your first cousin would actually be your mom's or your dad's brother or sister. So I took a deep breath. I emailed them because they did have their information on Ancestry. And I simply said, hello, I am Sharon Hodnett. My birth name was Sharon Denise Gray. I was born on August 19th, 1965. And I know I was adopted and we are a biological match. Do you have any information? And although I know this may come out of the blue, if you do have any information, please contact me. And I left my email and telephone number. The next day, he contacted me. And he was very excited about finding out more information. But he said another cousin may be able to assist me further. So he contacted other cousin because the other cousin had a whole DNA family tree. So I contacted that cousin, and lo and behold, that's my family. I found out my mother's name, my father's name, both of which who transitioned, but I'm here and I'm so happy to know the information. I went from being an adoptive daughter, one of 4, youngest of 4, to being the biological oldest of 4. 4s. I found out my grandmother's name. I found out my aunt's names and some amazing similarities.
So why are we doing this? We're doing it to honor our children, our future, to honor each other, to get, we can say what we want, and I'm not in that field, you all are in that field. I believe the undercurrent of anger, the undercurrent of fear, the undercurrent of everything is related to who are we really, and we feel it. I don't know how La felt when she was in that village area with the people. I know how you felt, because it was like, yes, my people, and not even getting to them exactly. And I don't know how you felt when you were seeing, when we see our people. When I was in Elmina, the gentleman kept saying I was his mother, but because I was with the group, the family, I'll call them, my Ghanaian family, they all had to see the picture to decide, do I look like his mother? He said, my mother is tall, my mother had twins, I had twins, we were going over this, and I looked very much like the gentleman's mother, who was now plastered on billboards, because when people die in Ghana, they put them on billboards for 3 months. Do they not? We had to go to the casket store.
Yes.
We saw the casket store, all kinds of caskets you would want.
Not just your regular designer.
Not just your regular casket.
Yeah,
designer casket. Race cars.
Race
Yes.
cars.
Wow.
Airplane. What was it? Airplane.
Airplane.
Yeah. The things that they were interested in. That's
Yes, it's very interesting. So
I would put out there, if it was, once their birthday came up, I would put their pictures up. Say, this is your
that is
great aunt
fantastic.
so-and-so. But I don't have dates or anything. I just might know the first name. This is great aunt Rosa. This is great aunt, whoever. But so that works. That works, because people say, hey. Or if I don't have a picture of them, I'll say, if anybody has a picture, please post it.
So now, where do you post? Tell me where you post it again.
It's on the family chat text.
Family group text, but what it is for me, since I'm married here, but I know some of the people, but I don't know all of the people. So when I see some of the pictures, it's good for me too, to get that. But also some of our cousins are also posting pictures and names and dates, so that all of the nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews will also know. And I've actually, saved some of those pictures too, off the text messages, so that's how I have them.
No,
She saves the ones of me as a little kid. And I say, don't save those.
Why not?
Right here.
So cute.
They're cute. We have to show the cute ones.
No, she shares it with the prayer call, and then, and it is all over the place.
Okay, Deacon.
So I want to know, who is that ancestor? Who is that one that was overseas in Africa, Nigeria, that ended up on a boat and here in America? Now I know that's grandiose desire, but it is my desire to keep going. So what I did was I was blessedly able to find a couple of my relatives, my ancestors, who served in the United States colored troops in the Civil War. Those records were included pension files, which included information from who they were enslaved by. That information got me to that enslaver and his records to show who he purchased this ancestor from. From that record, I was able to see that that last name, Shields, was also in my match list. There's a match list of other people who are related to you, normally a large list of cousins. So there's a 4th to 6th cousin with that last name, and we're related by blood. So I researched that backwards, back to his tree, connecting to what I had found. And yes, lo and behold, there was a match. I think it's his 5th great-grandfather, is actually my 3rd great-grandfather, because he not only enslaved my ancestor, which was my 2nd great-grandfather, he fathered him. He is the biological father of my 2nd great-grandfather, who was enslaved in his home. And of course, that would also mean that his mother had been enslaved in that home. Unfortunately, I have no further information on her as of yet, but that is the journey that I'm on now. We're resilient people. We're strong, resilient people. That this great-great-grandfather, as a prime example, after serving in the United States colored troops and having to forfeit some of his pension over to the enslaver because their lost funds, lost profit from allowing this enslaved person to go fight. They get paid back by the government. So that's how that became a paper trail for me to find him. But even after that, he went on to have his own farm, marry, have several children. And one of those children who eventually became my parent because of him. And I'm just so grateful. And that's, like I said, that's just one story.
And I'm still working toward getting the actual people from your village, like almost every day, like, tell me. But this person threw me a curveball when he said, oh, they're from Nigeria, more than likely. And then he talked about the maps. Don't forget this. He explained, he said, Senegal, Mali, he gave me the whole information. And when we looked at it, it's just this whole big mass that was known as one country, that is now 3 or 4 or 5 countries.
Exactly.
And so when he said it, that goes back to that Nigerian spread into Ghana. But when he described it, I said, well, this brother, he's from, his family's from the eastern side. He said, where? He said, up in the mountains. He said, oh yeah, those are all of the people. And he said, if you see us, we all look alike. And I have to agree. So where do we go from there? We want to first locally, when I say locally, in the United States, figure out where our people are. Let's connect the dots. Let's connect the dots. And speaking of connecting the dots, thank you for the emancipation papers, hard to get. But this is an example. Again, it came from a document. The white folks wrote it down.
That's right.
They wrote down everything, because you know what? They were proud. They emancipated us. And I said, I'm proud that you were, because then we wouldn't even have Brother Emmanuel here today, would we? Here he is volunteering to help. This is how he's treated. Lord Jesus.
When you know your history, you're more prone to following your path, whatever it is. Because once you see how your people got to where they got to and got you started, then you realize, something to this. There is a spirit that's moving through everyone's family, and we just need to know where it is. I tell everybody, we got here on the boat, most of us, if not all of us, got here on the boat, and we survived. So we are the best of the best.